Hello, podcast lovers. Welcome to this episode of JJ Meets World. And if this is the first time you've ever listened to it, thank you for not listening to the Nerdist podcast anymore. Sit back, relax, enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World. Tucker and I are going to delve into several topics, one of them being pens, one of them going to be school lunch. I think you're going to enjoy this episode. And if you don't, well, then you can go back to your Chris Hardwick stuff. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called JJ Meets World.
Tucker, the best pen that I have is from the Sharpie Corporation. And they make these click pens. In fact, I've got one I'd like to show you. And they come in a 0.7 millimeter or 0.5 millimeter, so a fine tip. And I believe it uses the Sharpie style ink as part of it. But it is the best pen I've ever had, with one caveat. It is the worst clip ever. You will touch the clip that, you know, is meant to hold in your pocket, things like that, and it snaps right off.
That's a really good point. Do you think we really need the clip anymore?
I do. Because I'm a shirt pocket guy, so I'm constantly putting pens in my pocket.
Really? So maybe I just don't pay attention to shirt pockets, but I never notice someone using a shirt pocket. I always see a shirt pocket as like a vestigial. You don't need it anymore.
Sure. Like your pinky toe.
Yeah, or like your appendix.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Sure.
It's there. It's a leftover from a previous era. You needed it for something else, but now, who's putting pens, and even if you put a pen in your shirt pocket, why clip it? Like, what are you running?
Well, I don't want it to just because if I don't, it just can end up inside the pocket and it's deep there. And
How big is that pocket?
It's a deep pocket. I got deep peas.
They could at least make the pockets a bit more shallow.
Really?
I think so.
So that's what you're saying, is to look at average pen length and then make the pocket, let's say, half an inch shorter than the average pen length. So you've got half an inch of the pen sticking out the top.
If anything, what they should do is just lessen the width. So it's only pen width. So because it's too big. Like, what else are you putting in there besides a pen, if anything?
My brother-in-law has his jeans professionally hemmed. Okay, so he's between like a 33 or like a 32 and a 34. He's like a 33. So he goes in, has the jeans re-hemmed, and so then they're the perfect size for him, right? Rather than being either just a little too short or just a little too long. I think I should take my plain tees. I'm a pocket tee guy. If I'm not wearing a pocket on it, it means it's a vacation shirt. But maybe I should go in and have them do like a stitch, like a 1/4 inch on each pocket. And that way I would have a pen, like I'd have my regular pocket, but then also the pen section of my pocket.
And if you have that, you're free of the cheap Sharpie clips.
Right.
You don't then you have a perfect pen because now it's obsolete.
Right, because then I can break them all off right at the get-go so I don't be disappointed. But it's a really amazing pen. Would you like to write with this just a little bit?
I would.
I'll hand you this. Here's a poster and here's a pen, and I would like you to enjoy the smooth flow of this pen. And I thought about this because I subscribe to a newsletter called Wirecutter, which is run by the New York Times. And one of the things that Wirecutter does is they will take a deep dive into something. And so recently they did a deep dive and they said, this is the best pen on the market. And so they chose pens that you can buy in, any Office Depot across the country. And they chose a particular pen. And I got to tell you, while the pen itself was fine, they got really high marks because the ink was non-smearing and pretty decent. The problem was that like it wasn't my favorite pen, not by a long shot. And so I somehow was able to do 15 minutes of radio on my favorite pen.
Could I get like that manila folder filled with things
Yeah.
to have underneath here? Because I have a concern about this pen.
Oh, it won't leak.
No.
Oh.
No, it's the texture of this desk.
Yeah?
I feel like that's interfering with the smoothness because I'm not having the same experience that you describe.
Oh, okay. Well, you enjoy it.
And I'm thinking if I do this, now it's a smoother writing experience.
And I don't I guess I don't regularly write on something on the hard surface itself. I'm always writing on a notepad.
Okay,
one of those.
this is better.
But you're getting a better experience now?
Yeah.
Now,
So
the
and you
Sharpie
can actually see a difference here, JJ. So the word fart,
Yep.
which was the first one that I wrote, you can see how I'm kind of unsure of it. It's weirdly spaced, and there's kind of almost like a little hand trimmer that looks like that. That was the texture of this desk. But over here where I wrote the word butthole, that's smooth. At the moment I put the B down, I was like, this feels right.
This feels good.
So it is a good pen. I like a pen with just a little more flow.
Oh yeah,
A little more flow.
So like, what are you looking for flow? Like, see, because my problem is that I find that a pen that has that much flow is going to get ink all over my hands, right? Because it's going to be it'll be an inky son of a bee.
That is a risk, absolutely. So that would be too much flow, way too much flow. I have a pen that I've been using lately that I think it's a Bic.
Yeah,
I forget the
a stick pen, like a Bic stick.
No, like a nice flowing roller.
Oh, okay,
ink
gotcha.
Pen, like a really nice pen. I would put in the league of that one, but it was made by Bic. That one's got good flow, but I don't know if that's model specific or if I happen to have just a diamond in the rough. And it has such good flow that I'm wondering, do I try to refill this if I can? Or I don't know if I can. I don't think I'd be able to because I think it's the inside disposable.
Why don't you just find the brand of pen and get the same brand of pen?
Well, I'll do that next, but I have anxiety.
But you
about
like
it.
the one that you're well worn. It feels good in your fingers.
Yeah. I don't think it has a cover. It has a snap-on cover.
Okay.
But I don't think it has a clip. But that might just be rose-colored glasses right now. Like I'm
You're so anti-clip.
I just don't pay attention to it. It's so worthless.
I was never of the era where people, when people had to refill pens on a regular basis, they would leak, right? Like leaky pens used to be a big issue with people, and that's why they got pocket protectors, is so that the ink wouldn't get onto your shirt.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I think there's more going on here with someone was like, maybe the people who made pens were like, what would really make us more money if we could also sell some pocket protectors, and so let's make these leak a little bit.
You think
like
so?
They sabotage their own products so they could sell you some other shit.
I mean, it's not unheard of in the industry for for companies to do that.
Apple making it so that older models
don't run as well, and the battery drains.
Like they tell it to be bad, right? That's probably what they were doing.
My father-in-law had a situation
You're a victim
with
of
Apple.
capitalism. I
am. He was his phone wouldn't go out of SOS mode.
Oh.
So, and we tried everything, and I stopped the recording, but now I've restarted the recording, so we're going to... Ouch, my arm hurt. I hurt it so hard. Ow. There's some residual pain.
So... JJ just, I don't know what you were doing. Were you just putting your arms down?
Yeah, just putting my arms down.
And wasn't aware of how close to the desk side he was at, and he did like a wrestling elbow move almost down onto his computer.
Yeah.
So loud that at first I thought you broke your computer. You didn't,
God.
But you stopped the recording. But luckily you started it right away again.
And I'm speaking of Apple products, it's a MacBook Pro, and I'm due for a new computer. So I think this year I'm going to maybe get myself. I was telling you this at lunch the other day, and I'm like, I'm going to upgrade to the M1 chip. Whoop, whoop.
I was like, dude,
It's going to be great.
You could do that.
Yep.
That would definitely something you could do.
So my father-in-law's iPhone gets stuck in SOS mode. And anytime that I'm asked to help in a situation like that, it's usually when Jill is home, and so she's texting me on her phone what she do. And I said, listen, I'm going to Google what this is, and you could as well, and then just do what Google says. But don't always take, Google does this thing now with their AI where they essentially they take whatever they find on the first website that comes up, which could be a sponsored website. So you got to do a little bit of digging. We are in a situation now with Google that is like milk at the grocery store. If you know you're going to drink that whole gallon in like 4 days because you got a big family, no sweat, take from the front. But if you're like me and a gallon, you need as long of a runway as you need. You got to reach back to the, 4 or 5 deep to find the one that's not going to expire in a week, but 2 weeks instead. So he's in SOS mode, never can get him out of it. So they take it to Verizon, which is, what was your last experience at Verizon? Has it been a while?
It has been a while.
Okay, so they train. You walk in and you sign it. Like someone approaches you, and then they put your name into a virtual kiosk.
Yeah,
and then someone comes out to help you. Eventually, they're like Ryan, and this person helps you, but they're also trying to sell you at the same time, right? They want you to purchase some kind of bundle or package or renew. And so they said, oh, this happens. And so this person goes, yeah, this is a problem with the iPhone 16. What happens is like during an update, it'll fry the SIM card. But we actually have a new way of doing the SIM where it's a digital version of the SIM card.
This is the one that they just released. The 16.
With the 16,
they
but
just
like
announced.
They just announced. Like, or no, I'm sorry. He has the iPhone 13.
Okay,
and he goes, "This is a problem with the iPhone 13."
Got it. I have the 13.
Okay, so
good to know.
It's possible. And so Jill and her mom, who brought Pete's phone, I can't imagine a world where I give someone my phone and they're like, "Well, we'll be back like in 6 hours, but we'll take it to the Verizon store." That would make me so uncomfortable that whole time that they've got my phone, even though it's stuck in SOS mode. I just would be the whole time being like, "Guy, I have my phone. I got to get a hold of that phone. Where's that phone?"
You just like start carrying the remote control around with you,
right?
So you've got something to like look down at.
And you might say like, "Oh, well, what do you got to hide?" It's not to hide. It's what if I miss a text message? What if there's something going on? What if I miss a Google News alert? What if another celebrity dies and I don't have enough time to jump on and give him or her a good night, sweet prince? Mm-hmm. So they go in and he says, listen, the updates will fry the SIM card. And so they didn't ask this question, but I was curious. I'm like, is this an Apple issue or is this a carrier issue? Because it seems really odd that the iPhone, like you wouldn't hear about this more if it was frying SIM cards left and right. Whereas I think it's probably a carrier issue and some mistake. Now, ironically, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they come in, phone's in SOS mode, and he's like, you're actually due for an upgrade. And so you could trade your old phones in and get the new iPhone 16, by next Thursday. Mm-hmm. And I think my in-laws fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, and so they're going to get new phones and trade in their old phones. And I'm like, this is the thing.
Yep, here's your payment.
Yep. And
I'm still paying
planned
off my
obsolescence.
13.
Yeah?
I'm still paying off my 13.
Oh,
I just realized that the other day. I was like, good Lord, how is this still going?
You keep your phone in pretty good condition, though, don't you?
No, mine's kind of messed up. But it's totally functional. And so I'm now at the point where I go, unless the next phone has some like game-changing thing that I think I would use.
Agreed.
I'm just going to stick with this until it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's the...
I'm kind of sick of this fucking thing, if anything. I'm kind of like, it's like of the devices in my life, this is the one that I would kind of love to take outside and curb stop printer style from Office Space.
Yeah.
Not because it's malfunctioning or anything like that, but because it is just a net negative in my daily interaction.
And we spend so much money on them.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember back in the day, like your monthly cell phone bill was like $22, mm-hmm. and it included maybe like 500 text messages, but you were using T9, so it didn't, texts weren't as big as they are today, and you had unlimited local calls. And then you paid a little extra for like 1,500 minutes of long distance.
I remember when I discovered, wait, what is this on my phone? It was text messaging. I had a cell phone. All I thought I could do was call with it. It's 2003. And then one day I'm like just looking at it. I'm like, what's this thing? what are these? And I was getting text messages from people, and I was like, I had no fucking idea that was a thing your cell phone could do. I think Natalie Deutsch was like the first person
to
who I had
text you?
noticed. I had texted me at like a month prior.
WTUP, what up?
Something.
I fought texting for a very long time because I never got into T9. It seemed like it took so long to convey something so simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't get into texting until I got a phone that had a QWERTY keyboard in it, which I don't know why we called them QWERTY. Maybe
It's the left side of the keys, QWERT. Is the arrangement they're in. So a QWERTY keyboard is just a keyboard with that particular layout. There are other layouts that people
Is that the standard layout?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, look at yours right there on your computer. I think it's a QWERTY. I would assume so.
It sure is.
That's what you would have been taught in doing typing in school.
Mm-hmm. Find your home row with the two indented keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like texting. It's fine, but I miss phone calls.
Yeah, I kind of miss being left alone.
Do you?
For the most part, unless it's my good friends or they want to text me something funny. By the way, thank you for making me laugh so hard the other day. I texted
about
JJ
Pizza Hut?
the other day. I texted JJ.
Should we read through them because they're pretty I think they're worthwhile texts.
I think I've got it memorized.
Okay,
because
hold
it's
on.
so short.
Let me. I'll just pull it up. Let me just grab it. Just hold on. Okay, I'm ready.
I'll just read mine, then you can read yours.
Okay. This is Thursday at 8:03 p.m.
And I legitimately felt this. This wasn't just a throwaway.
Okay.
I said, people don't talk enough about how tasty Pizza Hut is.
Fuck you. That might be the worst thing you have ever texted me.
That alone, it goes on, but that alone, I screenshotted that. And then I put it on social media and I didn't censor it. And I was like, yep, this is going out there. I got a lot of responses on it too.
I believe that, especially in our area, that whoever owns the franchise for Pizza Huts here, who hurt you? It's the worst.
Like, really? So there's one that just reopened in North Fargo.
I get angry.
Yeah, you do.
Like I legitimately get angry, and every now and then Jill orders Pizza Hut, and I will have a different dinner. I refuse.
I had Pizza Hut not too long ago, ordering through Uber Eats, and I remember loving it and it tasting like Pizza Hut to me. Like, oh yeah, and I did the pan crust and all that. I have so much nostalgia for it. I like specifically the taste of Pizza Hut. I don't like Domino's. I mean, I'll eat Domino's, I'll eat Papa John's, but if it's going to be national chain pizza, I'm more than likely going Pizza Hut. If we're not counting Casey's, right? And I like it. I like it a lot. I love the pan crust.
Here's the thing. I like Pizza Hut's pizza as well. I wish that they still had restaurants where you could sit down and eat a buffet, because that would be a game changer for me. That would be different. But unfortunately, their customer service is so garbage, and their ability to deliver what you order is crap. And their app, oh my God, their app, it is garbage.
I didn't know they had an app. I should have guessed they had an app.
Right.
Because I don't use apps. I'm kind of like you with texting.
Yep.
I don't sign up for the McDonald's app, the Pizza Hut app, all that kind of stuff.
You should sign up for the McDonald's app.
I pay the premium so they don't have I don't fucking need an app.
But here's the thing. They have deals every day on the app that will save you hundreds of dollars a year.
But if I need to save hundreds of dollars on the amount of McDonald's I'm buying, I need to stop eating at McDonald's. I get that way too much.
How much McDonald's do you think you get right now?
A couple times a week, I do 2 double cheeseburgers.
You could be
with
saving
no
so
pickles
much money.
and a large Dr. Pepper.
You could be saving so much money.
And I stopped doing the McDoubles, because you get the discount with McDoubles, but I do the double cheeseburgers because they taste better.
Oh.
And the thing is, it sucks. They're charging you a premium for one extra slice of cheese.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the way it goes.
But the answer is stop eating McDonald's so much.
Yeah. I actually don't think that... So I used to be probably twice a month I'd have McDonald's. Like if I was running home, especially when I was up at Fargo North, because there's that McDonald's right on 19th Avenue.
Yeah.
The
And
one
I
thing
really like that one a lot.
The one thing North Fargo
Good
figured
customer
out that
service.
none of the South Fargo high schools did is like let businesses be around your high school and they will patronize you.
Yeah, because they have it's open campus during lunch typically.
Right.
So that's what my buddies and I at North would always do. We would go to Pizza Hut buffet.
Yeah.
Because there was that Pizza Hut just down the road, and amazing lunch. Amazing lunch buffet.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Did we talk on the last? I can't even remember the last. Where,
Depending on which if it was the one we did via Zencaster, or if the one we did here.
oh yeah, about the food delivery at school.
I think that was the one that we did here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that one didn't get played.
That did not get played.
So
I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know.
Dear listener, let me just fill you in on a little bit of shenanigans that took place. So recently, I found out that the high schools they don't encourage, but they allow their students to order food delivery. And when you walk into the school, there is like a shelving unit that says DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats. And when you get the notification on your phone that like your Uber Eats has been dropped off, you raise your hand and say, hey, can I go pick up my food? You get to go pick up your food, and then out of nowhere, you show up back in class with like a stack of pancakes, and they're just fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the cat's out of the bag with cell phones in schools, right? Like it is what it is.
Every year, public school is just waving the white flag of defeat on a new thing.
Right.
It just is. Absolutely is.
But this is one step too far. Like I had teachers who would have who go ballistic over gum, and you would never be able to have a pop. I don't even think that we were allowed bottled water, if I'm going to be honest. And if you needed a drink, you said like, can I go get can I use the water fountain? Yeah. But kids today are getting Starbucks delivered to school, and then you go pick it up from the front desk. And the rule that the school system has come up with is, well, we can't be held responsible. So if another student comes and takes your smash burger, then that's just the way it is. And that pisses me off.
Hey, Fargo Public Schools, instead of having that policy, just don't let them do it.
Yeah. Right. And here's the thing.
And say it's because of a legal concern.
Right.
Yep. We can't be held liable for it.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's gone.
And
you can, if you want to go get food during your open period.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Go do it.
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, it's not like that would have been
old are we? Jesus.
But like, also, how expensive is that?
I'm not disagreeing with you, but like when I hear these words that I mean coming out of my mouth, I do kind of go, Jesus Christ,
get off my lawn.
It feels like old man shakes fist at cloud, but it also feels like, come on, we didn't have. Maybe it's jealousy. We didn't fucking have that, because you and I both know at that age we would have.
Here's the thing:
ordered.
We did have an opportunity. We could have ordered pizza. That was deliverable, but we never did that.
Oh, I didn't know that we could.
No. I mean, we definitely could.
I'm saying at school.
If I had ordered a pizza that got delivered to the front office when I was in high school, my ass would have been kicked.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we're just jealous.
I don't think so. I am dumbfounded. I was like, I weep for the future.
Okay, so big difference between North Dakota schools and Minnesota schools when it comes to like school lunch. So are you seeing this just on the North Dakota side? Is this on the Minnesota side?
I have no idea about the Minnesota side, but I was in the North Dakota. I saw the shelf.
Okay.
And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Also, it's so expensive. So, most of these kids don't have jobs that could allow you to order lunch into your school 3 days a week. Now, I heard somebody else told me like, well, the school lunches since the whole COVID thing happened has changed. And my son like has found maggots in his meal. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet that's not true.
Right. And if she's like, if they're like, oh, this meal is shitty because it's a breaded chicken breast sandwich on like a sugary bun with green beans and stuff like that, I'm like, you should be so lucky. Do you know what I would give to work in a building that has a cafeteria in it?
Oh my God. Oh my
right?
God.
Oh,
That's like one of the things about like the Microsoft campus that
Yeah.
I think would be amazing.
when my sister worked at Microsoft, she would send me like messages of like the menus that they had. So not only did they have all their standard stuff, but then specialty meals.
Yeah,
Oh,
but also, what are these parents telling themselves about the kitchen conditions at McDonald's? Like, well, see, at least there,
Right.
They, they fucking stand on the lettuce, lady. Like they do that shit all the time. Like you're not getting a higher quality product. The higher quality product would be you making them food,
Right.
and sending them to school.
that was the
with
thing
it.
is if I didn't want lunch at school, I would make my own lunch and bring it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The only like the specialty times when we were at a late rehearsal and someone ordered pizza or something like that, that was a big deal. But then it was also a giant cluster because you would have to, first of all, you called the pizza place, you talked to a human being, and then you told them you have to enter on the south door and I'll be waiting for you at the south door. And then if they went to the north door, no one had cell phones. And so there's a chance that your delivery driver would just drive away. And also, by the way, you needed cash to pay for it.
Yep. And more than likely they would be getting a better tip just because you didn't want to have to deal with like the math.
Bingo.
Just take it. Just let me round this up to $20 and just take it.
I had a friend who, good old silver spoon in that mouth, right? And his younger brother ordered a pizza while we were over there. And he goes, JJ, could you help me? Because I ordered a pizza, but I only have a $50 bill. And I was like, you got a $50 bill? And he's like, yep. And he was like, I don't want him to cheat me. And so I was like, okay. And then in my mind, I'm like, you need to tell a pizza place if you're going to pay with a big bill because they don't, drivers carry less than $20 in cash. So the driver comes and he gives them this pizza. He gives them the 50 and then the driver counts out the change, gives it back to him, including like jingle change too, right? So he gets, I think the pizza itself was maybe like $14. And so he counts out $36 and some cents in
I'd
change.
say just give me 30 back.
So here's the thing. So the kid takes it and starts walking away. And I'm like, hey. You gotta give him a tip for the effort. And so he gives him the jingle jangle change. And I was like, give me your money. And so at the time I gave the delivery driver $6.
Yeah.
And which we're talking about 2001 here.
Yep.
That was a significant tip back in 2001.
For sure. I'm just thinking like, okay, $14.50, let's call it $15 is the cost of the pizza. And you're making this guy go through the extra effort of counting out shit. So he's doing the fucking 50 that he has to take back to the till right away anyways. And the fact that you're a rich snob kid, you're tipping him $5 and you make it easy. If you just go, just give me 30 back.
Yeah. And like, so he takes off with his little roly-poly self and eats all the pizza and doesn't share any. And I'll never, and also he was of the age where he should be able to know how money works, and I'm like, did you never have a lemonade stand? That's where I learned about counting change and all these things. And that was in an era where people said, don't keep, it wasn't like keep the change, where a quarter was a quarter.
Yeah. The lemonade stands that we did though, that was what caused my future anxiety about having to make change on the spot.
Yeah.
And that's why I never became a pizza delivery driver. And that's truth. Like at one point when I was just a young man, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go to a pizza delivery job as a job. I was like, God, no, I don't want to have to do all that math in front of the person with it just seems so awkward. And I bet I would get it wrong and fumble it. And it would I just want to avoid all of that.
You know who is really good at making change and like doing math? Blackjack dealers.
Yeah.
They do that like crazy.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, you put down $22, you got a blackjack which pays 3-1, and they just work it out so fast. And then you've got a king and a 5, and then you flip a 7. He's like, bust. And I'm like, wait, is it? And I was like, oh yeah, 22.
Yep. I've seen poker dealers do it pretty fast, but also they have all the chips in front of them and it's sort of like a visual guide as they do it. So they can go, well, I know a stack of 5 reds is this much. So here's 5 stacks of 5 reds. So that's, they can break it down that way. Mm-hmm. But it's still, I would also not do that job. I would just feel way too much pressure. I would need time to work it out and feel good about it. When I work on like home construction projects, which I'm gearing up to do a few in the next couple of weeks, I sit down to do the math and I'm like, let's do this 8 times. Just because I'm not confident I know what the fuck I'm doing. And even just measuring it out, it takes me a lot longer to do.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's one of those things I have to do behind closed doors.
You know, something that people don't ever think about when they're measuring something, right? So, like, let's say you're going to cut something with a miter saw, and it needs to be 8 feet 3 inches and a quarter.
Yep.
So you put your mark at 8 feet 3 inches and a quarter, right? Well, that is how long you need it to be. So a lot of people will put their saw blade on that thing, and you actually need to make it so that the saw blade cuts to that point,
just to the right of it.
So I usually
left of it, whatever.
I usually add a 16th onto whatever I'm like okay, so this is where I want it to be, so I add a 16th so that that's what the saw blade will take away from it. And it's amazing to me, like, for example, like, I got a good buddy, he's probably listening to this now, who I helped fix some tile on his like on his countertop, and whoever had done it before had done it themselves, and so not all the pieces were exactly the same as they went along, and so it's one of those things where, like, I would rather measure twice, cut once, versus the other, but, like, it's fine. It is what it is. Yeah. Also, like, we're in an era of do it yourself so much that people should just embrace the fact that not everything's going to be perfect. And by the way, when you get it done by a construction company, it's not perfect. No. I had my living room redone after we had that ice dam damage, and now I've got 2 things that looks like someone had pressed their large buttocks from the inside of the wall, like, out. And so you can only see it in certain lights, but it looks like it's bubbled. Yeah. Which is weird.
Yeah, my place is so small and so tightly configured that putting furniture in it, which is typically made for just houses that are a bit bigger, really crowds it. And so I'm trying to have a lot of things in there, try to make a lot of use out of a small space. And so I've made some of my own shelves before for things just to utilize the dimensions of a wall most effectively. Yeah. Versus going and buying something that's expensive but made cheaply from Target or whatever that's going to last me, maybe 2 or 3 years or whatever. So that's the thing that's making me go, okay, I want to wring as much out of this house as I can. What can I do? And anything I want to have, like if I want to have this kind of TV over here or whatever, I really need to create the furniture for it. So the furniture is like just perfect in the house. So it's only taking up as much space as it needs to, not a single inch more.
When I was a kid, we had a couch custom made for our basement. And it's because we had this weird
that would be
established
awesome.
bar. Yeah.
I would love an untouched couch for once.
And it's because, like, it was straight, and then it had an angle, and then it was straight again, and it was like it was a whole thing, right?
I bet sitting on that felt like putting on a new pair of socks.
Oh God, it was amazing. And then they built a custom table that went with it. Okay. And we held onto that couch forever. And I remember my parents being like, this couch is the most expensive thing in our home.
What do you think the insides of those things look like after a while, even if you're cleaning it routinely?
A custom couch?
Just a couch, a piece of furniture that everyone's putting their butts on and it's being used a lot.
I think that the inside is probably okay. It's probably full of like coins. There's probably some broken pens in there, the things that's got out of your pocket.
The clips.
I'll bet you that in 5 or 10 years from now, you'll find a bunch of earbuds in there. Like, it'll just be the place that collected earbuds over the years.
Do you think when they first made shirt pockets, what do you think came first, the t-shirt pocket or the pen clip?
T-shirt pocket.
T-shirt pocket came first?
Because we were using pencils for a very, very long
clip.
Time.
We were just raw dogging.
Right, because don't forget, the pen is the big brother of the inkwell, and like using that.
And you better be not using sharp pencils because you're probably doing lead up.
Yeah. Oh God, definitely. You also probably are dying from the asbestos and the fact that they're using cocaine for tooth problems, and they're like, coal's good for your lungs.
Do you think there was a debate at any point over should the pen be clipped on the inside or outside of the pocket?
Yes, 100. In fact, there's probably a patent out there
I'm thinking so the pen is hanging outside the shirt.
Yeah.
So you're displaying the full pen, because if you really like the look of the pen, it's just like people who leave the labels on their hats, right? For some reason, like that's a thing for some people.
I imagine it was like JW Papermate and a guy whose name was like Billions Kent, and Billions Kent had the patent for the outer pocket pen holder, and JW Papermate was like, I will crush you with the power of 1,000 suns.
Yeah, and then once that trend was happening, some people decided to go retro with it, and they were putting like a quill.
Yeah,
they were just pinning a quill to their thing. Like, I still dip. I dip my ink.
The good news is JW Papermate used his political influence to have those people thrown in jail and silenced, so that there'd be no future for the quill. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. It's a good thing that the pen that they made that clipped onto your penis never took off.